Stop everything you are doing right now. If this video appeared to you at this exact moment of your day, there is a clear reason, and it has nothing to do with internet algorithms. You have been feeling a tightness in your chest that won't go away. You woke up in the middle of the night this week without explanation. You remembered people you hadn't seen in years. You had strange dreams that stuck to your mind when you opened your eyes. And even in the middle of the daily rush, washing the dishes, driving in the traffic of Chicago, Los Angeles, Nashville, or simply lying down to sleep after another exhausted day, a voice inside you won't stop repeating, "Something is about to happen." I need to tell you, with all the clarity in the world, that these signs are not your imagination. It is not stress. It is not accumulated fatigue from the last few months. It is not menopause. It is not a midlife crisis. It is not a lack of sleep. The Almighty is warning you. And today, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what are the 7 urgent warnings He has been sending into your life in the last few weeks, why He chose you specifically to receive this message now, and what you need to do in the next 24 hours, so you don't lose what is being prepared behind the scenes of the Spirit for your family. If you are over 35, if you have lived long enough to understand that there is a world beyond what the eyes can see, stay until the end. Because what I am going to share here can change the way you read the next 7 days of your life. And before you think about skipping any part, remember, everything happens for a reason. The first sign that the Almighty has been giving, and that most people ignore completely, is the discomfort that appears for no apparent reason. You are doing the same things as always. The routine is the same. The house is the same. The people around you too. But there is a new weight on your soul, a nameless sadness, a desire to cry when night falls. This, my brother, my sister, is the Holy Spirit pulling you by the sleeve. It is Him saying that something needs to be reviewed in your life before it is too late, that there is a pending decision, that there is an unspoken word, an unforgiven grudge, a door you need to close before the next one can open. And while I say this, perhaps you are feeling a chill right now. Perhaps your eyes are watering. Do not fear this emotion. It is the confirmation that the warning arrived where it needed to arrive, inside your heart. I need to stop here for a moment because what is happening to you at this moment demands a response. That tightness that won't go away, that sleepless night, that thought that comes back and back, as if the Almighty were knocking on your door again and again. This is not emotional weakness, this is a spiritual calling. And when the calling comes with this strength, it is because the mission is too big for you to cross alone. I feel, in my spirit, that you are being prepared to protect someone around you. It could be a child who is drifting away from faith. It could be a husband, a wife in a silent battle. It could be an elderly mother, a lost brother, or even yourself at a point in life where you need to decide between remaining where you are or rising up now. Many people see the signs, but very few manage to translate what the Almighty is really saying. That is why I prepared the powerful digital book for you. It is called How to Know If You Are Saved for Judgment Day, and the link is right there in the description of this video and pinned to the top of the comments. Hundreds of Brazilians have already written to me saying that after reading it, they had dreams of guidance, managed to pay debts that seemed impossible, reconciled with relatives they hadn't spoken to for years. Do not let this moment pass. This video could go off the air at any moment, and the warning that the Almighty sent you has a deadline. If this message is truly touching you, comment the word Amen now to seal the calling. Returning to what was being revealed, let me show you the second warning, because it is even more subtle, and for that very reason, it is the one that most escapes people. The second warning from the Almighty appears in the conversations you have overheard by chance. Yes, you read that right. A piece of music that plays on the supermarket radio, a phrase that your neighbor drops without realizing, a commercial on television that seems to speak directly to you, that message that arrives in the WhatsApp group and makes you stop. This is what the ancients called the mouth of heaven. The Almighty uses the voice of ordinary people to deliver extraordinary messages, and when you start to hear the same idea 3, 4, 5 times coming from completely different sources, stop, breathe, write it down, because the Almighty is confirming a direction. The third warning is the most physical of all, and also the most neglected by adult Brazilians. It is the strange fatigue, That type of exhaustion that doesn't go away even after sleeping 9 hours. That sluggishness in the body that appears right after a prayer or after you watch a video like this. This is not an illness. It is spiritual burden being transferred. When you start being used by the Almighty, when you are being prepared for a greater mission, your body feels the weight before your mind understands what is happening. It is as if heaven were placing inside you tools that you don't even know you will need yet. And this spiritual assembly tires the physical body. The fourth warning, and here I ask you to pay close attention, are the repeated numbers that appear on your path. You look at the clock and see the same time 3 days in a row. You receive change at the market, and the amount has a meaning for you. The car in front of you at the traffic light has a license plate that catches your attention. This is not an obsession. It is not a coincidence. It is not your brain hunting for patterns. This is what the Bible calls a seal. And it was through numbers that the Almighty guided Noah about the ark. It was through numbers that Moses counted the years of the desert. It was through numbers that John described the book of Revelation. When the numbers reach you, it is because the time of something in your life is being marked up there. And now I need you to take an internal pause. Take a deep breath. Place your hand on your chest, feel your heart beating, and ask yourself, of the things I just said, how many are happening in your life? 1, 2, 3, all of them? If you marked more than 2, I have bad news and good news. The bad news is that there is a spiritual battle being waged right now around your family, and the enemy already knows that you are on heaven's radar. The good news is that the Almighty is moving first. He is warning you before the attack arrives. The fifth warning comes through unexpected people. That uncle you haven't spoken to in years calls you out of the blue. An old acquaintance sends you a message asking if everything is okay. A child, perhaps your nephew, your grandchild, speaks a phrase too profound for their age. This is the Almighty using human vessels to confirm His presence in your life. Do not despise it. Do not think it is casual. Give thanks, and especially listen to what these people are saying to you, even if it seems like a banal conversation. Often, inside a silly phrase is the key to the direction you were looking for. And here, before I reveal the last 2 warnings, which are the strongest of all, I need to remind you of one thing. The fact that you are still watching, after so many minutes, after so many distractions available in the palm of your hand, proves that something greater is holding you here. You could be doing anything else, but you chose to stay, or rather, you were chosen to stay. And that is exactly what the Almighty wants you to understand. There is a level of protection that only activates when you obey the calling. And there are entire families that are depending, at this very moment, on a decision that only you can take. Perhaps you are the intercessor of your house. Perhaps you are the only person in your family who recognizes the Father's voice. And if you are recognizing yourself in these words, I ask you from my heart to be part of this spiritual movement that is happening right now. For this reason, once again, I reinforce, the digital book, How to Know If You Are Saved for Judgment Day, has the link in the description and is pinned at the top of the comments. It is not just any book, it is a profound guide that will show you, chapter by chapter, how to read spiritual signs with clarity, how to prepare for what is coming, and how to spiritually shield every member of your family. Do not leave it for tomorrow. Tap there, download it now, and start reading today. Let's go to the 6th warning because it is the most common and the most ignored of all. The 6th warning is restlessness during prayer. You sit down to pray, close your eyes, and instead of peace, an agitation comes. Your mind flies, images arrive, memories emerge. You start to cry without understanding why. Many people think this is a lack of faith, that they are doing it wrong, that they lost the connection with the Almighty. A mistake, a deep mistake. This agitation is the Spirit of the Almighty, churning the soil of your soul to rip out bitter roots that had been there, hidden, for years. Perhaps they are childhood hurts. Perhaps they are resentments against an absent father, a rigid mother, a spouse who betrayed you. Perhaps it is the guilt of something you did and never confessed to anyone. When the Almighty wants to heal you for real, He first messes with what is hidden, and messing with it hurts. But it is pain that sets you free. It is pain that precedes the miracle. The 7th warning, and this one is the most delicate, is the feeling of saying goodbye without any apparent reason. You look at your children and feel the urge to hug them harder. You look at your father, your mother, and feel an urgency to call and say you love them. You walk down the street where you lived in childhood, and your eyes fill with water. You wake up thinking about someone who passed away long ago. This is not pathological sadness. This is not depression. This is the Almighty teaching you the real value of what you have in your hands before time changes something. It is not necessarily a warning of death. Calm down. It may be a warning of transition, of change, of cycles closing so that others can open. But it is the Almighty saying, look at what is right in front of you. Do not despise it. Do not neglect it. Do not trade today's gold for tomorrow's anxiety. And now that you know the 7 warnings, I need to explain the why. Why you specifically? Why right now? Why this coincidence of watching this video on the exact day these things started to make sense? The answer lies in a single word: separation. In Exodus, the Almighty separated a people for a mission. In Jeremiah, the Almighty separated a man from his mother's womb. In Luke, the Almighty separated a young woman named Mary for a task that changed the history of humanity. And today, in the middle of 2026, on a Tuesday, on a Thursday, on a Sunday, on any day of the week you are watching, the Almighty is separating you. Not for an easy life, but for a life with purpose. And purpose, even when it hurts, is the only thing capable of making you sleep in peace. But I know what is going through your head right now. You are thinking, what if I can't? What if I fail? What if I don't know what to do with all this? This is where I need to tell you the most important part of the video. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to obey the next step. The Almighty never shows the entire staircase. He shows the next step. And the next step for you now is to stop doubting and start acting. Start small. Tonight, before you sleep, take any notebook, one of those that stay lying around in the drawer. Write down the 7 warnings you just learned and mark one by one which ones are happening to you. Note the repeated times you have been seeing. Note the dreams you remember. Note the people who sought you out of nowhere. This notebook will become, in a few months, the most valuable record of your spiritual life. Because when the miracle arrives, and it will arrive, you will want to go back and remember where it all started. You will want to show your children, your grandchildren, that the Almighty spoke to you before the transformation happened. The second practical attitude is to start speaking, not with everyone. The wrong people steal your fire even before it turns into a flame, but choose 1 or 2 trusted people. It could be your spouse, a close friend from church, a pastor, a sister in the faith. Tell them what you are experiencing. Spiritual confirmation almost always comes through another person agreeing with what the Almighty has already told you in secret. The third attitude, and this is the most important, is fasting. It doesn't have to be an extreme fast. It doesn't have to be from food if your health doesn't allow it. And here I speak with care because I know that many viewers over 35 have blood pressure, diabetes, conditions that require regular feeding. Do a social media fast. Do a television fast. Do a gossip fast. Take 24 hours of your Sunday and dedicate it exclusively to listening to the Almighty. You will be surprised by what will come to you in silence. And here I need to pause once again because if you reach this point in the video, it is because something inside you recognized each of these words as truth. It wasn't entertainment. It was confirmation. It was your soul saying Amen before your mouth even did. And this brings me to a reminder that I cannot fail to make now. The path I just showed you is only the entrance door. There are deep details, specific revelations, practical orientations that would not fit in this video at all. That is why I prepared the powerful digital book for you. How to know if you are saved for Judgment Day is not just reading, it is an instrument of prayer. Each page was written based on the scriptures and on real testimonies of Brazilian families who went through crossings similar to yours. The link is pinned at the top of the comments and right in the description of this video. Several people have already written to me saying that after downloading the book, they had dreams of clear guidance, managed to resolve family conflicts of decades, saw their health improve, saw their income increase in ways that could not be explained rationally. I cannot guarantee what will happen to you because each calling is unique, but I can tell you that the material was written under deep inspiration and the time for you to access it is now. This video could be removed at any moment for reasons beyond my control. Returning to the teaching, let me warn you about the 3 mistakes that most people make after receiving warnings from the Almighty. The first mistake is desperation. The person receives the warning and wants to solve everything in 24 hours. They quit their job without direction. They end a relationship without prayer. They make a financial decision without seeking counsel. The Almighty warns you to prepare, not for you to freak out. Divine warnings require strategic calm, not impulsive rush. The second mistake is the opposite: paralysis. The person receives the warning, gets emotional for a few days, and then returns to the routine as if nothing had happened. They forget the dreams. They forget the signs. They go back to the television, to the gossip, to the autopilot. And when time passes, they look back and ask why everything remains the same. It remains the same because they ignored the invitation. The Almighty forces no one. He invites. Whoever refuses the invitation loses their seat at the table. The third mistake is the search for confirmation where they shouldn't seek it. The person receives a clear warning from the Spirit and goes around asking everyone on the street what to do. Fortune teller, tarot reader, psychic, horoscope app. Careful. When the Almighty speaks, do not seek the voice of the world to validate it. The voice of the world has its own agenda, its own interest, its own power, and the power of the world does not mix with the voice of heaven. Seek the Bible. Seek prayer. Seek people who have real spiritual fruits in their lives, not just beautiful words. Now let me give you a promise based on the scriptures. In Joel chapter 2 verse 28, it is written that in the last days the Almighty would pour out his Spirit upon all flesh, and sons and daughters would prophesy, old men would dream dreams, and young men would have visions. You are not crazy. You are not imagining things. You are living in practice a biblical prophecy. These warnings you receive are not a luxury for overly spiritualized people. They are the literal fulfillment of what was written for our time. And you, Brazilian, with more than 35 years, with children, with grandchildren, with responsibilities, are exactly in the center of this outpouring. For a simple reason: you have the maturity to receive. The young have energy, but lack experience. The elderly have wisdom, but the body has already grown tired. You, in the range of 35 to 60, are the bridge between the 2 generations, and the Almighty needs bridges. For this reason, I ask you to take this place with courage. Stop diminishing yourself. Stop thinking your prayer is weak. Stop comparing your journey to that of the neighbor who seems holier, to that of the cousin who sings in the choir, to the brother who speaks in tongues. Your journey is unique, your calling is unique, and your time is now. Once again, I reinforce for those who haven't gone yet. The digital book, How to Know If You Are Saved for Judgment Day, is in the link in the description and pinned at the top of the comments. It is a material that deepens everything I said in this video and goes much further. You will learn to discern true warnings from false impressions. You will learn to interpret dreams based on the Bible. You will learn to set up a routine of spiritual protection for your home. Even if you don't have much free time, you can read it in small doses throughout the week. Each page is light, direct, written with the busy life of the common Brazilian in mind. Do this for yourself. Do this for your family. Do this because heaven is watching your response. Let me tell you a quick story before I close. The other day I received a message from a lady named Barbara, there in Oklahoma City. She was 62 years old, was going through a bad fight with her youngest son, who had drifted away from the family and was drinking too much. Barbara watched a video similar to this one, felt exactly what you are feeling right now, and took action. She downloaded the book. She started praying based on the principles she learned. In 3 months, the son returned home in tears asking for forgiveness. In 6 months, the young man was working. He was clean. He was attending church with her on Sundays. Barbara wrote to me saying, "Pastor, brother, I can't believe I wasted so much time thinking it was my madness. It was the Almighty. It was the Almighty all along. And perhaps it is your turn now. I won't promise that everything will be resolved in a week. I am not one of those preachers who sell quick miracles, but I guarantee you, based on the word, that when you obey the calling, the Almighty takes care to handle the details you don't even know exist." He goes ahead, prepares, organizes, aligns people, opens doors, closes what needs to be closed. All he asks is that you take the next step with faith. And the next step now is to decide. Will you leave this video the same way you entered, or will you leave different? Will you forget everything you heard, or will you write it in your notebook? Will you go back to autopilot, or will you start to observe? Will you ignore the Almighty's warning, or will you respond with a yes? Before I finish, I need you to do 3 things now without delaying. The first, comment down below the word received. This simple comment is a symbolic way of sealing before heaven that you heard the message. The second, click on the link pinned at the top of the comments or in the description and secure your digital book, How to Know If You Are Saved for Judgment Day. This material was prepared with prayer, with fasting, with tears, specifically for people like you, at the moment you are living. Do not leave it for later. Time is short, and what seems distant today may arrive tomorrow. The third thing, if this video touched you, if you felt that each word seemed to have been written exclusively for you, leave your like, activate the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. Not for the number, not for the algorithm, but because the next video with the next warning, with the next guidance, will arrive to you at the right time, and if you are not subscribed, perhaps you will miss exactly the content that would save you from a night of anguish. Remember, everything happens for a reason. This video appeared to you because the Almighty orchestrated it. Do not waste it. Do not delay it. Do not neglect it. Heaven moves when you move, and your movement starts now, with a simple yes. May the peace that surpasses all understanding, the one that is promised in Philippians chapter 4, verse 7, fill your heart this night. May each member of your family be covered by the blood of Jesus while they sleep. May the angels of the Lord camp around your house, your street, your neighborhood, and may, when you wake up tomorrow, the first thing you feel be the certainty that the Almighty is with you, in every breath, in every decision, in every step. The warning has been delivered, the choice now is yours, and time, my dear, time is now. Amen.